Hello, everyone. Welcome to this new edition of the Bleav in Bengals podcast. I'm Solomon Wilcots, and joining me right now is our Bleav in Bengals insider, Charlie Goldsmith. We're going to get to you in a minute, Charlie, but first I got to tell everyone about Bet Online. Of course, it's the world's most trusted betting platform with all the resources that you need to bet online. We're talking NFL games. We're talking NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, and a whole lot more. All you got to do is go to Bet Online. The game starts here. First of all, Charlie, welcome to the show. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about you?
Hey, look, we're doing great. Cincinnati Bengals are coming off that Week 10 game against the Baltimore Ravens. It was a Thursday night game. Let's face it, in a way, it was a heartbreaker because it was going to allow the Bengals to get back to that 500 mark. And also, it was a divisional game, the second of the season, taking on the Baltimore Ravens. The Bengals needed that game desperately. Wanted to check in with you on a couple of things. First of all, give me a state of the team right now after another shootout and an offensive performance that was spectacular. Cincinnati Bengals come away a loser in what was really a big-time game.
Yeah, big-time game was supposed to be a big-time season, and that was supposed to be all about Super Bowl expectations and going on runs and keeping Higgins and Hendrickson for one more run with this core. And even in a best-case dream scenario for the Bengals, let's say they go on some run down the stretch. Well, then their playoff path is probably on the road at Baltimore, on the road at Buffalo, and on the road at Kansas City. And the biggest takeaway I have from this Bengals season is I have no confidence in the Bengals to win in those types of environments. Every time that the Bengals have had the opportunity against a good team that they've faced, they've made losing plays in the type of clutch moments that define what a season's all about. I think there's some intangible things that are missing. I think there's been some kind of development from the types of personalities you see and how they're not lifting each other up in the biggest moments. I think that is a tangible thing that we're seeing when the game's on the line. Again, all of this adds up to really no confidence that even if the Bengals do make it in, they'd be able to live up to what the season was supposed to be.
Yeah, it seems like the thing that they can hang their hat on, and that is a big-time game from Joe Burrow. I think we're all reminded that football is a team game. Mm-hmm. And it's more than just having a franchise quarterback, which the Bengals certainly do have. I would argue, Charlie, that a Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase combination right now is the envy of the league. Like if you are a team, you want a quarterback like a Joe Burrow and you want a receiver to pair with that quarterback like Jamar Chase, but yet it's not even enough to win a division title, let alone enough to win a Super Bowl.
The Bengals are testing the limits for how much two guys can carry an organization. Three, maybe throwing Trey Hendrickson into this too. But with Burrow and Chase in particular, it's not just the fact that they told Joe before the game, like, hey, we think you're going to throw the ball 50 times this week, and you may or may not get killed, but that's, what they told Joe would be their best chance, and Burrow signed up for that. It's not just that they're going to feed Jamar at an unbelievable rate of targets coming off a short week and have him line up on literally every blade of grass on the field, throwing as much of a mental workload as you can put onto any receiver in the league. It's not just the X's and O's stuff. It's with all of this, intangible stuff like I was talking about a second ago. Burrow and Chase are the leaders of that, trying to lift up guys like Jermaine Burton, who didn't show up to practice, and then 5 days later really is probably their wide receiver 2 against the Ravens. Like Burrow and Chase are the one leading that process from a leadership standpoint. Burrow and Chase are the ones doing the most to try to set the tone, to try to set the standard, to try to put some confidence level in the team that when they make it to those big game deciding moments, they're going to approach them the right way. And Burrow and Chase are doing everything they can from that side of things. It's still not enough because of how many flaws we're seeing on the roster.
Jamar Chase become the first player in NFL history to have multiple games with over 250 yards receiving and multiple touchdowns. I can't say enough to what Burrows did in just the 2 games against the Baltimore Ravens, where he's had 9 touchdown passes in the 2 games against that team. Both games well over 400 yards total offense. They can't play any better. I want to just really get one more comment from you on Jamar Chase. Despite not getting the contract that he wants, he's given this team all that he's got. And it'd be interesting to see if the team now can sort of find its balance to meet Jamar Chase where he's playing before the price tag gets any higher, if you know what I mean, Charlie.
Can't get much higher than what he's doing now. Now, here's to me what sums up Jamar's value. The 2-minute drive, end of the game, the Ravens kind of made an adjustment and they played their 2 high safety looks kind of in a bit of a different way. And the Bengals said, all right, we need a 2-man beater. We need a play that can go up against that coverage and get the ball to your best player in Jamar. So Zach has a quick conversation with Jamar about it. And then Zach in the headset during a timeout, a stoppage. And then Zach calls in the headset, Jamar retro, which that's not a play. That's Jamar run a retro route, and we're going to get you the ball. That is what
no
Zach
matter
Taylor
what.
did in the biggest moment of the game, and it worked. It was a 21-yard catch on that drive that should have been a game-tying or game-winning drive for the Bengals. So sometimes, as you know very well, it really is just about the Jimmies and Joes, the guys you have on the field. And when you look and when you count the Burrow to Chase connections against the Ravens, so many off-schedule moments, so many chemistry moments, so many Jamar out-athleting guys moments, the little subtle movements he has on his routes, the mental workload that he does lining up literally everywhere a receiver can, lining up anywhere anyone can be, except for like offensive tackle and quarterback are the only positions Jamar hasn't played. So that is how much he's doing. And that's what makes a guy worth the highest receiver contract in the league.
Yeah, the price tag went up. Every time you saw Jamar Chase make one of those big plays in that Thursday night game in front of a national televised audience, becoming really the star of this league, to be honest with you, all you heard was this cha-ching. You heard a cash register. And now it's going to cost the Bengals even more because they didn't get the deal done in this last offseason. I want to move ahead and talk about the big Sunday night game. This is a game that was not originally scheduled to be played on Sunday night. The NFL flexed this game into becoming a nationally televised game. You and I both know they want to get the 2 quarterbacks from the draft class of 2020, Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow, on the field at the same time in front of a nationally televised audience. Charlie, what kind of game can we expect from both quarterbacks on Sunday night?
I think we know what we can expect from the Bengals defense in this matchup. But the other side of this is what's going to be so fascinating to me. It's obviously a Bengals team that from a decision-making, a game planning standpoint, is planning to win shootouts consistently. That's their only path. Well, the Chargers have the number 1 defense in the NFL. It's a very aggressive, physical pass rush. I think Jim Harbaugh has done a great job of kind of putting his tone and his stamp on the mentality that team plays with. Aggressive linebackers, Derwin James in the back end. They've got a bunch of smart football players who play very sound and impressive scheme football too. And that's going to make life really difficult on the Bengals. Like the Ravens defense isn't what we think the Ravens defense is. The Ravens defense is a unit that is calling itself like the little brother of the team right now because of how much that unit has been struggling. The Chargers will be kind of a test from a game script perspective. Do the Bengals still think they can win a shootout against this style of defense? Because Justin Herbert's going to put up points against you. What style of game do you try to play? Do you keep having Burrow throw the ball 50 times and keep associating the risks that go with that? It's a big week for Zach Taylor to figure out what type of game he has to play against a very good Chargers team.
I think it's just anytime you can see Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert on the field at the same time, these guys make up, I think, what ultimately is going to become one of the great quarterback draft classes that the NFL has ever seen, that 2020 draft class with Tua, with Jordan Love and Jalen Hurts, and obviously Justin Herbert and, of course, Joe Burrow. You said it. This Chargers defense, number 1 scoring defense in the National Football League, only giving up 13 points per game. They have the 9th best pass defense in terms of coverage and pass rush. 9th in terms of 9 interceptions through their first 9 games of the season. They check in with a 6-3 record. 30 sacks, ranked 3rd best in the National Football League. Can we block them? And can we make big plays against what is arguably one of the best defenses? I think this is going to be the best defense the Bengals have seen all season long, to be honest.
Yeah, so let's stick with the offensive line theme because for a while I felt pretty confident in the Bengals pass protection unit. And really that confidence has not completely eroded, but certainly eroded to a significant degree over the last month. Cody Ford played one of the worst games, probably the worst game Burrow has ever had from a left tackle. You have, I went through my notes and went through all the pressures allowed, and there's a lot of 67. There's a lot of 65. There's Alex Kappa getting thrown to the ground on that 2-point conversion. He hasn't been the same player this year. Amarius Mims, I think, has a very, very bright future in this league. You're seeing rookie moments, and you're seeing teams exploiting him really with the same inside move consistently.
Yeah.
So it's an offensive line that's not gelling, that's not playing the way it needs to right now. A line that's not picking up the quarterback after he's taking free hits on plays that should be dead. So a big, you need to see that response by that unit. I think getting Orlando Brown Jr. back will have a significant intangible impact. He kind of has that, the most, I don't like cliches like this, but he has the most dog mentality. He got that dog in him, as they say. That's who he is. He has that talent as well, the most talent on the offensive line. I think that'll go a long way, but the entire unit needs to progress.
There is no doubt about it. And look, the LA Chargers are formidable defense. And you're right. Jim Harbaugh's already put his stamp on this team. They run the ball, and that's going to be a challenge for the Cincinnati Bengals to stop. J.K. Dobbins and that really talented Chargers offensive line that has 3 first-round picks on it. And so they can run the football, and they can play great defense. And we're on the road at L.A., at SoFi Stadium, taking on the L.A. Chargers Week 11 coming up on Sunday Night Football. Our Chris Collinsworth's going to be on the call of that game. Charlie, one last thought about this. Where's this team at from a mentality standpoint? I thought the Thursday night loss was a real blow to this team. I don't know that they're going to make the playoffs. You're right. They're going to have to go on some epic run. And if they do get in, they're not going to play a home game. I don't want to say the season's over because we know they're going to keep fighting. But this organization, what's the mindset? I think from top down, there has to be a thorough examination of what went wrong for a season that had such high hopes.
To me, this, and Zach Taylor told me this in January, he said what this season was going to be about was developing the next wave of leaders and was about developing the young defense. How the Bengals got on that special run in 2021 and 2022 was they brought in these incredible players and these even better culture guys, your DJ Readers, your Mike Hilton, your Von Bell during that first run in Cincinnati. And all of that clicked where everyone had their voice and their role, and there was an expectation that, for example, when the Bengals' backs were against the wall on defense, they wouldn't just get the stop, they'd turn you over. And the fumble in the jungle was the perfect metaphor and representation of that. This Bengals defense seems to have lost that. There hasn't been the development individually of the young guys on defense. And then, like Zach said, from a leadership standpoint, it hasn't become Cam Taylor-Britt's defense or Jordan Battle's defense or Logan Wilson and Jermaine Pratt's defense. And they're still counting on, those older veterans from a leadership standpoint, but those guys have had their production drop off a bit. So what I want to see is just some better body language. Like Lou Anarumo once showed a clip of all the big plays the defense allowed in 2022. And he did it because he showed them that guys put their arms around each other and hyped and talked each other up after they allowed a bad play. The Bengals don't do that anymore. And I think, to me, that's the first step for the Bengals defense, getting some of the mindset and mentality back that it would need to be more confident down the stretch.
I would like to see him re-sign my guy, Mike Hilton. He's in the final year of his contract, as you well know. We're starting to see a different kind of rotation that has him on the field less. We need more Mike Hiltons. We need more guys like him. That dude brings it. And to me, we just can't let good players walk just because you see an age number. They're still performing. This guy's still performing at a high level. He's still our best tackler, man, maybe on defense, but nobody has the kind of energy that Trey Hendrickson bring. I'd like to see him come back. Presumably he could be on his final year. Please tell me that that our better angels will prevail and we're going to bring these guys back.
I wish I could say something that would ease your mind here, but Hendrickson's in a spot where he's already forced or requested a trade and wasn't in a happy spot with his contract. I think it actually makes a lot of sense to trade Trey this offseason when you look at the reset that's needed. And Mike deserves to be on the field more than he is. For a defense that's having young corners make fundamental technique or communication mistakes when they're in the game, to not have the guy who's been your most consistent corner on the field on the biggest plays of the game because you want to take some snaps off his plate, which has been the line that's been used there. I mean, that's not how you have your best group of guys on the field in the biggest moments. That's how you have such little resistance on plays like, the touchdown on third down to Rashad Bateman that gave the Ravens the lead in the fourth quarter.
Charlie Goldsmith, he's our Bleav in Bengals insider. We're going to be hearing more from him as the season progresses. I want to thank you for becoming a bigger part of our team. Charlie, you're always welcome right here on the Bleav in Bengal podcast.